British do not know how to make IPAs. Now,
Oh, right, sure. They only invented the damn IPA.
All right, we are live, ready to rock and roll and rock.
Iron Man.
This is out of the wilderness.
Welcome to Craft Beers Gone Wild, another edition here. Sorry we had to miss out on last week's episode, but we all couldn't get the flight over to the UK to make this show happen. So I'm Crunch Kretschmeyer here in Chicago, Illinois. I come to you satellite from Custer, Michigan today.
And Rod J out of Northern Kentucky, Cincinnati.
And I am Eric from the Thomas Meadow 75 channel of YouTube, Massachusetts Beer Reviews in Southern Massachusetts.
And I'm Ronald, and you might see me on Louisiana Beer Reviews. Hello.
All right. Well, this week here we got we're doing a follow-up continuance actually of craft beers from the UK. Now, unfortunately, here in Custer, Michigan, a little IPA troublesome getting something from the UK, so I was unable to score anything from here. Otherwise, I would have had to pull a Cody and do an 80-mile trek. But since I'm up on a little R&R, I thought I'd just go ahead and kind of hang back and let you guys hold the show down. So with that, I'm going to throw it up over there to you, Mr. Rod J.
All right, so last week we were going to look at UK beers, and then we kind of everybody had stuff happening, so we had to move it back to this week. So now we're going to do it, even though it's National IPA Day, we're still going to do the UK beers. And the UK, of course, is Great Britain and Northern Ireland. So we're going to look at some of the beers from out of that region. I actually have a couple with me. I have the Samuel Smith Taddy Porter.
Nice.
There you go, right there. And then I have, because I found out yesterday, IPA Day, I had to go get an IPA, the Twisted Thistle IPA from Bellhaven. So I wanted to get an IPA in for IPA.
Ooh.
So, what do you guys have with you as we play a little show and tell?
I have the Robinson Brewery's Iron Maiden edition beer. Their 666 Trooper beer at, you guessed it, 6.5. Whoa, no, you didn't guess that. It's 6.6% alcohol by volume. And apparently, somewhere between it's somewhere between being considered an extra special bitter on Beer Advocate, and I guess the exact kind of a style due to the BJCP guidelines is a strong bitter.
Oh, okay.
That's the style.
And I guess Ron, what do the UK to get his? He disappeared there, but
I'm here. I was being very English and drinking hot tea.
Sweet.
So now tea time is over. But this is Irish. Not Northern Ireland, but it used to be part of the UK.
Is it Northern Ireland?
No, regular.
Oh!
They don't like you for that.
Well, Northern Ireland was part of UK.
No, wait. Northern Ireland is still part of the United Kingdom.
Right.
But this is the Irish Republic, and it used to be part of the United Kingdom. But they're no longer under the crown. Anyway, enough of the history lesson. But actually, it's interesting because this beer is sometimes contract brewed in England, and it's called Guinness Extra Stout.
Nice.
I guess we give you extra credit for that. This is a sometimes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was introduced in 1759. This bottle was produced. Oh well, let's not worry about all that. But this is a malt liquor.
Sweet.
And it's a dark stout porter ale. And interestingly, there was a mistake on their website because Eric and myself and our other little Facebook gang was talking about this when they returned production back to Ireland. See, we were getting the Canadian version for many years. Remember that, Eric?
Mm-hmm. That's right.
It was rated at 6%.
Yep.
Then all of a sudden last year, the Irish version started coming in, but it was rated at 5%. And I said, why are they calling it a malt liquor if it's only 5%? Well, somebody alerted me this week and said, they changed the formula to 5.6% alcohol. And I said, you know what? They didn't change the formula. They had a misprint on their website, I bet you, and they realized it and they went and changed it, corrected it. Yeah. So
yeah, I agree with that. Yeah.
I think it was 5.6% all along, and that would classify it as a malt liquor because anything above 5%, that kind of falls into that range of
definition.
Strong beer. This one is from Dublin, and everybody's heard of Guinness, of course. My daughter was asking me about Guinness today, a Guinness brand today. So anyway, that's what I've got.
Okay. So I'll go ahead, I guess, and I'll, since I got two, I'll crack open the first one here, which is the Belhaven Twisted Thistle IPA. Chris, did you bring any beers, or are you just hanging out?
I'm just hanging out. Unfortunately, like I said, I went and was looking and couldn't find anything, and I ended up walking out with nothing. And then by that time, I said, "Oh shit!" I couldn't turn around. I was too far away.
Well, here is the. I had this one time before years ago. It looks like I must have checked in on Untapped with it, but you have so many beers you can't always remember which you've had. But nice clarity on it. I think you can see all that. You see right through the other side there. Not really. Well, I guess when you put a light on it, you see some of the carbonation taking place. The head is kind of that eggshell bone type white. It's got a nice, probably about, came out of the two figureheads, about 1.5 now. But that's where you have that difference with the English IPAs versus the American IPAs, so you don't get any of the fruit or anything off the aroma. You have more of the sweetness from the malts that take place.
Yep.
Almost like a tad bit of a kind of like sourness, but more in balance. Like you don't have any hops taking over anything. Now with this one, the IBU is 45. I think I mentioned ABV is 5.6. There's really that sweet dominance. You have some of those caramel type notes or caramel type notes. A little toffee-ish.
Mm-hmm.
But the taste you get on it, you get some of that initial bitterness, but it's real smooth and crisp on the back end. Goes down very nice. When I was thinking of Belhaven, I was kind of wondering, it's like I wasn't sure if that was UK or not for sure, so I had to research it because I always think of them and some of their beers being more Scottish, but they do make them there where they consider it part of the UK from the stuff that I saw out of
Scotland, Wales, England, and Northern Ireland are all United Kingdom.
Right, right.
And the rest of Ireland used to be, but they had a little breakup.
A little bit.
And the island of Gibraltar.
Yeah.
That's a British territory now. That was
okay.
That's owned by the UK, but it's not part of the UK.
Gotcha. Kind of like Puerto Rico.
Correct.
But what I like about it is that with the English IPAs, that crispness and that freshness you get in the mouth of everything, it's kind of got a nice, almost refreshing type quality to it, even though it's an IPA. The American IPAs can almost tire you down depending on what their strength are sometimes, unless you're dealing with session IPAs. And this one has a nice, good, refreshing quality to it.
Yeah, and Rajay, that they've changed the label on that Belhaven, but boy, that's got some earthy notes to it, doesn't it? Also,
Yeah, it does. Yeah, it does have some of the earthy type notes to it. It's really just a nice, well-balanced beer. I don't know how long they've been making this one before, but I think I had this at one of the pubs, which was a Scottish restaurant that we have here in Kentucky. And I remember it being a nice, crisp finish then.
Is that a 11.2 ounce or 12 ounce bottle?
This is 11.2.
Yeah.
And it's got a good duration. Like, I can just feel all the flavors still swirling around after drinking it, so it doesn't really end real quickly. There's nothing really an aftertaste with it, but a nice kind of solid type beer put together here. Carbonation isn't heavy on it at all. So for me, I think the first time I had this, I rated it on Untappd as a 3, which was like years ago. I would probably give this one now probably like a 3.5. I think it's just a solid, all-around, refreshing type beer that you can really kick back and enjoy.
I love that beer. I think everything Belhaven makes that I've tried is wonderful.
Yeah.
And it's a really old brewery. It's what, from like 1700 or something?
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, it doesn't have the information on here, but I remember that name. I remember that around it talks on the bottle that Twisted Thistle is our flagship American-style IPA. And that's kind of funny because that's not the taste you get off of it.
No, they must not know what American style is.
Right. we use loads of Challenger, Cascade, and Herzbacher hops to produce a beer that greets you with an amazing noseful of grapefruit aroma. I do not get the grapefruit on there. And follows up with a refreshingly bitter bite. Enjoy it cold with good friends. George Howe, Master Brewer, Belhaven. So, if they were trying to go for an American Pale Ale, they kind of missed the mark in my mind. But as far as it being a nice drinkable beer, they do hit on that. So,
what would you rate that beer? How much do you like it?
I like 3.5.
I like it as a 3.5, but now I almost feel like if they were going for an American IPA, do I need to go back and change that rating? Because they kind of missed the mark. They swung, they missed, but it's like the catcher dropped the ball, they made it to first base.
No, I never did it. I rate it. If it's a 3.5, it's a 3.5. But you got to just mention it that maybe in the style it kind of.
Yeah, the style is definitely lower. I didn't look on Rate Beer or anything like that to see how people marked them on the style, but I think on the style it's a miss, but as a drinkable beer, it definitely hits.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Good.
Well, I'll explain mine next since mine.
Happy National IPA Day, people.
Since mine's actually made in England, I'll explain mine next. It is like I said, the Iron Maiden's Trooper beer from the Robinson Brewery out of Stockport in Great Britain, and this is their 666 variety. Now, this is from the Robinson family brewery. They've been around since 1838, and it was in 2000, or actually, I'm not sure exactly what year it was. I think maybe it was 2013 was when they came out with the original Iron Maiden beer, which was a collaboration between Robinson's Brewery and the Iron Maiden vocalist Bruce Dickinson, who is apparently he's a fan of these real ales, which are more or less a cask-style ale that they use. They have the pumping mechanism that they pump sort of basically room temperature beer right into your glass.
Right.
And they're kind of a Budweiser or a Miller or a Coors kind of thing they drink all the time are these, either they're called bitters or milds. This one is 6.6, but it's still definitely is within that English style ESB, kind of a Fuller's ESB type of a style to it. It is, it's got 4.5 out of 5 sugar cubes on their website, and 4.5 out of 5 for the bitterness. And it smells, I should say the look of it, let me go with that. It looks exactly like you would think a English-style bitter would look. It didn't really have that much head to begin with. And again, it has that orangey copper, kind of a clear, transparent look to it. And the smell of it is definitely that British bitter kind of a scent with some toffee and caramel maltiness. Definitely some biscuity, cracker-like notes to it. Definitely sweet. And it definitely has an underlining citrusy fruit kind of a note. And it has some grassy type green hop type flavors. So on the flavor of the Trooper 666 Ale, one of the first things I do get is that real ale, that cask, almost, in a way, almost a woody note at the very, very beginning of the beer. And it is pretty malty and sweet like you would find in a typical English-style bitter. It does have the caramel and the toffee notes. And it definitely has some kind of an orange or tangerine or maybe even an apricot kind of a fruity note to it. Definitely has a good buzz and a charge from the carbonation. I would say it's on the light side of medium. It's a pretty dry... I would say it's a pretty dry finishing beer. It's not all that bitter in terms of its IBUs or its hop presence, but I think it's a pretty good example of a English-style bitter. It's definitely has a lot more body and overall flavor to it than their original Trooper Ale. I didn't think the original Trooper Ale was as good as, say, a Fuller's ESB, which is probably one of the more renowned ESBs in the world, but for the Trooper 666, I think I gave the original Trooper 3 1/4. I'll definitely give this a 3 1/2. I'll give it that 83, I guess, range. I'll give it a high B minus. It's pretty nice. It's nothing too extraordinary, and at $6.29, I don't think I would buy this one all that often. And by the way, before I shut up here, the Trooper 666 Ale is no longer being brewed by the Robinson's Brewery. So if you want to get this beer and you see it, get it now. They will have their red and black beer coming out in September 2016. So high B minus from me.
So you've had that one before then, I guess. You said.
I've had their original Trooper Ale. Now this one is, I'm not sure what's so different from the recipe than this one, except for the fact that they say the 666 is slightly sweeter than the original. So I guess that's kind of true.
I always pass over, so I might pick that up.
It's a little. My initial review I did on Beer Advocate of the original Trooper Ale was. It was an okay beer, but for it being an over $5 beer just for one of these kind of pint style bottles, it wasn't that good for that price.
Well, is that a type of bitter there that you would drink more in the fall or in the wintertime, or is it too light?
You know what? I think you could drink this thing
all year long.
Almost any kind of a season. I think it would work very well with those flavors. I think it would be good in the summertime with.
You think it's better for summertime?
I think it's either. I think it's probably screaming. It's probably screaming to me either early spring or late fall.
Oh, perfect. Now I was kind of wondering with the sweetness and stuff in there, if that's what's gonna pull it off. It's something like that I wouldn't want too much in the winter time.
Yeah, I can understand that. Yeah.
So,
Eric, I don't understand that score a high B minus.
An 83.
I'm not making fun of it.
On the cusp of it being an
80 would be a lowest B minus, on 83 be the highest B minus.
Yeah, I'm not thinking it deserves quite a above average rating, but I think it's slightly above average.
Oh, I see what you mean.
Yeah.
Like the lowest.
I think what you're getting from the beer plus its price, you can do a lot better in that price range. I think probably Fuller's is much cheaper than $6.29 for a bottle of it, and it's probably much more representative of the style of ESB.
How many ounces was that bottle, Eric?
This is a good question you ask me. I think this is a 330. It says 330 milliliters on their website. I'm not sure.
That's a 16.9 ounce.
Yeah.
Because I'm thinking like the ones that I see here that I got at one of my places, I believe they're like the 22-ounce bottles.
Yeah, you can get.
And I'm thinking they're like only like $4 or $5, I believe.
Get the tall. They make tall cans of this now.
Yeah, and they come in a 66.6 ounce.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah, if more metalheads drank this beer, I think it could almost be considered a gateway beer. They could try Trooper, and I thought that about the original Trooper. They could try Trooper or Trooper 666 and maybe go, this is pretty good. I'd like to try some other kind of beers. but I think it would just be a little bit too high in the price point range for some people to really justify just repeat buying it.
Nice.
When I found the Trooper for, they had the Trooper in New Orleans, the tall 16.9 ounce cans. They had. I was able to get them for $2.88 a can.
That's not bad at all.
Wow, that's good.
For $2.88. Where's that echo coming from, Eric?
Maybe it's on your end, actually.
Could have been. It could be me. I got an airplane going by. Like a little hunky.
Crunch is out somewhere.
Wilderness.
I don't have my audio up high. I don't have my mic up high. I don't have my speakers up too loud. Yeah, so $2.88 for the tall cans was a nice deal.
Yep.
I would not pay that kind of price for that devil beer. And I did go see Iron Maiden twice though.
I've seen them at least 3 times.
I saw him in 1985 in New Orleans, and then I saw him in 1988 for the Seventh Son of a Seventh Son tour.
Excellent. It was like a good time right there.
That was a better show than the first one. The first one was dull because I didn't want to sit there for 16 minutes and hear about Samuel Taylor Coleridge's Rhyme of the Ancient Mariner.
That's a 13-minute song.
Yeah, but in the concert they drag it out more. I remember thinking, "Oh, this is so boring." Now, and that probably wasn't what they were reaching for with their audience, for them to say this is so boring. Hold on, I'll be right back.
But it's okay. It definitely reminds me of a real ale, that cask style ale. It definitely has some of those. I mean, it's a very light, kind of a faint woody note, and I can understand kind of with the flavor. I can understand why they might prefer it at a little bit of a warmer than refrigerator temperature. I can see why they do that.
Hey, Ron J. Rod J.
Ron J.
What about your Iron Maiden story? You know, when you went to Farm concert. You got any girls?
I have not had an Iron Maiden experience. You know what? When I was younger, I didn't really go to concerts that much. I was kind of like, well, I don't want to pay that much to go see someone perform. I just wanted to it just seemed like it wasn't worth it for me to pay to go to a concert most of the time.
When I was a teenager, the concert prices were like $13.50.
Well, they were for me too, I guess. I just never really went. I had free tickets one time to go see Gloria Estefan.
Nice.
Remember when she had that bus crash?
Yeah.
Well, she was leaving WVU where I was in school, and I had free tickets to that concert. And her way to Pittsburgh is when she had that crash.
Wow.
And I was like, oh man, I'll never get to see her now because but she was back fine and everything, but still, it was just like.
Now, give me. I don't know where that damn echo's coming from. Maybe you don't hear it. Eric's
aliens down there in Louisiana.
If y'all don't hear it, that's fine.
Some of that space rock.
Let me do one thing and then I'll start now.
Okay.
I want to go turn on an air conditioner in another room. Hey, no, I gave up concerts because they were too loud and hurt my ears, and I knew that was bad. And secondly, the prices did start going up. And thirdly, I just got bored going watch. I'd rather go to games, like sporting events where somebody wins. Where somebody wins. Nobody wins a concert. You just watch it and then you leave.
Okay. I think the last concert I went to was Hootie and the Blowfish, and that's because it was a free thing that I got to go. They actually put on a good show, though.
I just saw Guns N' Roses at the end of last month.
Yeah, they're back together now, I guess.
I mean, it was all right. Whoops.
We would never, when we went to concerts, we would never like rah-rah people. We would go and sit up there in the stands, and I'd say, oh, this song is from Never Say Die from 1978. That's the kind of like, they'd be like, we're going to play another now. The last album I ever did with Black Sabbath. It's called Never Say Die. And everybody'd be like, yeah. And I'm just like, yeah, that song sounded kind of disco to me, but we would just like comment on it, you know what I mean? Not that we didn't enjoy it, we would just, that's how we would go. And I'd say, oh, or something like, oh, this is from 2112. I wonder how many songs they're going to play from 2112. Okay, well, anyway, enough concert review.
I like that you went for that note, Ron. I like that. You went for the high note.
Although I did do an album review today on YouTube. Just
This episode is brought to you by StubHub.
Okay.
No, I don't have any kind of interest in a ticket firm, although I would be willing to join, take. Now, here is a beer.
Send all donations to Flagstaff.
Right, Del Rio, Texas. Hey, this is probably the one of the whole group that's not really a craft beer. The Bellhaven's IPA, yes. The Robinson's beer, Iron Maiden beer, yes. This one is a macro, but it's sort of like what I would call a craft macro. I mean, this is made to a very high standard. This is not. Of course, you can make the argument for Bud Light or something like that in that respect, that it's made to a high standard.
Bud Light's no Guinness, though.
What I mean is that they have high quality controls, and it's not just trash they throw in together. But anyway, it's a venerable beer. You can see the thick head on it. I mean, look at this thing. It's that.
You can cascade in it.
This is not the nitro now. This is just the bottle, so you're not going to get the cascade. But it's a thick beige head, and you can see how dark. But you can tell. Maybe you could tell it's still brown.
Yeah, it's probably got some ruby red tinges.
It's not black. I do have a little light still coming in from outside, but it's close to black.
I'd say I'm kind of spoiled with a Guinness now, though, because ever since I had the Foreign Extra Stout, it's like I don't want any other version.
Yeah.
Okay.
That is so freaking good.
Yeah,
it is unbelievable. The Foreign Extra Stout is fabulous.
Yeah.
The Guinness Draft, which is only 4.2, that's in the nitro can or in the bottle. You can drink it out the bottle. I think that's a really good beer too. I try to dislike it, but then every time I drink it, I say, no, I cannot dislike it. This is the standard Guinness that we get, the 5.6%, formerly 6. But if you get on the Guinness website, there's about 10 other ones, maybe more than 10, that you cannot, in most of them, you cannot get in America.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? There's 8% Guinness. There's 2 different 8% Guinness beers, which I would love to try. But anyway, this is not the nitro. This is not going to cascade. Look at that head breaking up into this sort of like a mousse.
Yeah.
Type thing.
You're forming some rockiness on there, so it laces the glass.
Beer mousse. Mmm.
Pretty good homer.
Now, the aroma on this number, it's not like super aromatic, I guess, but you get roasted malts, and you get a little sweetness, you get a little cream, you get a little maybe coffee. And I believe when Eric and I and the other guys examined this, we picked up some like cherry, and we got the dark cherry more in that Foreign Extra Stout, didn't we?
Yeah, I haven't had that one in a while, but I would agree on that statement, yes.
I can get the Foreign Extra Stout for $8.99 a 4-pack.
You know when I got the last Foreign Extra Stout I got? $12.99 a case.
Whoa.
What?
That's awesome.
$12.99 a case.
Wonder what train they stole that off of.
No. I did grow up in New Jersey, but it had nothing to do with where I'm at in Kentucky.
Well, one thing we've learned about Kentucky is there's an organized crime presence.
There is. Yeah, we just saw that.
Oh, that's what was on the news. Oh.
I don't know about the news. I'm just saying if you're getting a case of Guinness Foreign Extra Stout for $12.99, that's
well, one of the places I go to, they get a lot of the closeouts. I got like Golden Corollas for $12.99 a case there. A lot of the higher IPAs, they get a lot of closeouts where they got to move merchandise for the new stuff. So
Bike Crunch.
He'll be back.
He'll be back. I'm just kidding because there's a store in New Orleans, and as we know, there is no organized crime in New Orleans. But
well, the reason they're getting all the clothes out is because the companies can't make money because all the guys in Kentucky are stealing them.
Yeah, the store in New Orleans had all these great deals. Like we got the Newcastle Brown Ale for $12 a case,
Mm-hmm.
Pabst Old Tinkerdale for $12 a case, and it's usually like short dated, and some distributor just says, well, here, you try to sell it, and they'll just blow it out, you know.
Right.
But anyway, back to this beer.
How does it taste?
Tasty.
What's your assessment today?
Tastes really good. There's some. Hold on. Eric goes ahead and does the Gettysburg Address, and I'm getting a time clock. Okay.
4-7.
So,
Roger is losing it, people. Losing it.
it's got a lot of complexity. Like, there's some acrid notes. There's the cream. There's the coffee. And then you get this, a little sourness. Now, you see, some people say that Guinness, I've never been able to officially establish this, but I believe it, that they use a mixture of a beer that they let start to turn sour in with the dark stout, and so it gives it sort of like a little extra layer of depth or some complexity in the taste, that they make a mix between a sour, and it's probably a 90-10 mix or something, but that sour beer they mix in with it. And
I haven't heard that before.
Yeah.
So, have you guys ever done like the black velvets with the Guinness?
no,
I have done that.
The Guinness, put a shell in half, and then you put cider.
Yep.
It's pretty good.
That is refreshing stuff.
The mouthfeel is smooth. It's not too heavy. It's like high medium. It's not a heavy beer, but it's not a light beer by any stretch of the imagination. So it has good body. The finish is a little powdery. I believe this is more like a dry stout, if I'm not mistaken. Although I think Murphy's Irish style stout is more of a dry one. But
This extra is. I'm going to look that up because I'm kind of curious while you talk.
yeah, I think they use a fish product to give it the body on it, like fish scales.
Yeah, they talk about now in their production they're going to take out that ingredient.
I heard something about that.
Friendly.
And there's no reason to take it out. It's just that some people were saying, fish scales.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, but notice they weren't bitching about it when they didn't know about it.
Right.
They didn't know about it. It was the damn best thing they've ever had in their mouth. They go ahead and you mention it, and oh wow. Now.
And yes, it is considered a dry stout still. Yep.
Yeah, and you know that deal about the fish scales, it's like ground up like a powder.
Yeah.
Putting that in there was no problem. It was just you get these people that put stuff on the internet and they get people all afraid.
Oh, that one website that you tell me not to read. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, this is terrible. After 200 years of doing it, it's not like it's hurting the environment. It's not like endangering the sea. It's not like they're using shark fins.
Right.
You got a bunch of unscaled fish.
Draw the line at
No.
you would not use shark fins.
Yeah.
Look how many fish are consumed in England and Ireland. Think of all the byproduct. So in fact, my opinion, if they're using the fish scales or fish bladders or whatever they're using, they're actually helping the environment because that's a more utilization of a product. It's not so much waste.
Yep.
So, but anyway, enough rant and rave or Ronald.
And it still tastes good with the ingredient in there. In other words,
So what are they going to use? Some other compound?
supposedly.
Okay. Now, I think this beer is really good. You can get a 6-pack at Walmart, everyone's favorite store.
Right.
Aside from Costco.
Was that directed towards me?
Boom, boom.
Ronald won't be on these anymore.
Welcome to Ron's last show.
This will be the finale.
all this drama.
Might as well jump.
But they did have it for $8.47 plus tax for the 6-pack, which to me is a good price for what you're getting. You're getting a really good beer. It's enjoyable. I think it's a legendary product. And if you've never had Guinness, I would say try it. And I would also say, where have you been? You've never had Guinness, but and there's.
I'd be amazed at the people that didn't have Guinness before, though. I mean,
people have had Guinness. We all can assure that people have had Guinness, but have they gone beyond the Guinness that's taps everywhere around the world, or have they actually tried extra or foreign extra, or?
Oh, in that case, yeah.
That's my recommendation. Yep. Try all of them. Try the different varieties. My daughter was telling me she tried the Guinness Blonde Lager, the American Blonde Lager today. Yeah. She was saying, "Oh, that one's really good. I really liked it." I said, "Well, I agree with that." So anyway, that's it for me. I really like it, and it's not a craft beer, okay, but it's a great beer.
Not a trash beer. All right, so would you still give it the same kind of a rating as you have in the past?
Definitely, an A.
Excellent. And
nice.
I wanted to mention something that I just found out the information because it's on the bottle. I should have read the bottle a little bit carefully. But the question was asked
rat poison or something.
No, none of that. The question was asked if this is the same. What's the difference between the 666 Trooper Ale and the original Trooper Ale? And they say we created Trooper 666 charged with even more flavor and more alcohol, but brewed to the same great recipe of the original Trooper.
Now put the damn timer on him.
Yeah, exactly.
I hear no clock.
I think the 6.6% gives it a little bit more. You can taste a little bit more of the alcohol, and you can taste a little bit more of a fuller flavor. But, I mean, really, if you've had the Trooper Ale, in my opinion, you've basically tasted what this thing's like. So if you can only find Trooper Ale and you can never find Trooper 666, you're not missing out on a whole bunch. And I think the Trooper is 4.7 versus this 6.6. So you might feel it a couple of minutes more sooner than on regular Trooper, but it's not much of a difference, folks.
So you saved us some money.
Exactly.
All right, well, I'm going to get my other beer here. So this will be the Samuel Smith Taddy Porter, which apparently I haven't had before, or if I did, I never marked it down. But big fan of Samuel Smith beers. Everything I've had from him has always been so good. On the label, it talks about a very dark, full-bodied ale with a rich, creamy head and an intense, dry, tangy character brewed with well water. The original well sunk in 1758 is still in use. Malted barley, roasted malt, yeast, and hops fermented in stone Yorkshire squares. The type of beer, first brewed in the early 18th century, gained its name from being drunk by porters in the fish, meat, and other produce markets. So again, something else ties to fish here. They got a little picture on here, which is pretty neat, where the guy is adding whole dried hops to the fermenter. If you can see that picture there.
Oh yeah, that's cool.
So that's pretty cool along those lines. And if you never had a Samuel Smith beer out there, I mean, they do a lot of good beers. I'm not talking to us in here because I know a lot of us probably have, but there's a lot of people that haven't had their beers, and they are so freaking good.
Do not hesitate to buy it. Buy it immediately.
Oh, yeah.
Anybody ever had the Samuel Smith Yorkshire Stingo?
What was the last part of it? Yorkshire what?
Stingo.
Ooh.
No, I haven't had that.
No, I haven't had that one.
That's that 8%.
Ooh.
Oh, man, that thing is a knockout beer, and it is expensive. We can get it here. This Yorkshire Stingo.
We probably have it at one of my stores. I probably just didn't see it or get it yet. One of my other stores has a nice layout where you do it by country, so you can find a lot of these nice beers.
Wow.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah,
and I am actually going to enjoy this in my Samuel Smith glass.
Oh.
You lucky dog.
Yeah. You know what? I got a thing. It was those Kentucky prices again. It was like something was a pickup for a gift set, and it was like I thought it was like 2 or 3 beers in there for like $5.99. I ended up getting the Samuel Smith. I think it was the Oatmeal Stout, the India Pale Ale, and another one, and the glass for $5.99.
Oh, my goodness.
I said that it was a steal. So maybe we do have the organized crime going on.
Yeah, that's the mafia.
But I like what they're doing if that's the case.
That's the mafia. Yeah, but somebody died for you to enjoy beer. See, that's the problem. Okay, go ahead. Keep
But
talking.
it comes out with a nice tan head. It's almost like how yours was, Ron. It came out with probably about 3 to 4 fingers ahead of there right now that starts to settle down. Does have a nice dark color on the base. So when I get it to a light, you're not seeing through it. So it's pretty much jet black. You do get that nice aroma of kind of some of the coffee notes, some of the cocoa, some of that nice malt you expect to have. Very reminiscent of something you probably got in your Guinness as well.
Yeah.
You do get some of that creaminess there.
What's the ABV on that?
This one is at 5% with 32 IBU.
Oh, yeah.
That baby is smooth. I don't taste really any of the bitterness from the IBU really kicking in on this one. You get a little bit of a tinge at the tip of the tongue, but then it sits pretty crisp on the palate and goes down very easily. I mean, you could actually chug through this with no problem, most likely.
Yeah, well, one thing England's really, really good for is making a lot of they have a lot of lower end ABV beers because the pub is a communion place. It's a place to be,
Right.
It's a social gathering place. They're there all day pretty much drinking and talking, so they need these lower kind of easy quaffable beers to drink while they're doing whatever it is that grown-ass adults do.
But one of the things with the UK, that's where they created the session beers. And employees were allowed to actually drink during the course of the day. They could at lunch. So they came up with those lower ABV type beers, and as they have more of the pub stuff, and maybe because it rains a lot over there, they spend a lot of times in the pub. So they actually have a lot of lower beers they can go through and not get too hammered by the end of the day.
And remember where the American Revolution started, in the pubs and taverns in the colonies.
Yeah.
Right.
So good meeting place for crazy people to start revolutions. And
I will
Not that you're encouraging that, though, Eric.
I will say
no, but they do that in Kentucky, I bet.
things do happen in some of the bars, but yeah.
What happens in the bars stays at the bars, gentlemen.
But the one thing I will say on the taste, I do get some of that caramel coming through and some of that malt flavor you expect to have on a porter. My problem with porters sometimes is the thinness of them.
Yeah.
That's why I'm more of a stout person, which really a stout is kind of just a grown-up porter. I'm not as huge into some of the watery textures you often get. I think this one has that slight watery texture in there. It's still a good tasting beer, but that's kind of the difference between that porter and that stout. And I'm not as huge a fan of it. It's not really off-putting, but it's just I like when you get more on it. So for me, in a beer like this, as it rates as a porter, I think it's fine. Drinkability is fine. I'd probably give this one a I'd probably get a 3.75 out of 5. I think it's got good drinkability with it. It doesn't knock me back as much. Like if I had to choose a Samuel Smith beer, it wouldn't be this one. But if someone handed me this beer, I wouldn't be disappointed, and I could drink it with no problem.
It gets a 93 on BeerVentures out of 1,301 reviews, and probably to your amazement, the bros give that beer a 100.
Do they really?
Wow.
Yeah, they do.
Wow.
I know at Untapped it gets like a 3.71. I'm not sure on rate beer.
With
me, it's more just I like a lot of good porters. I like a lot of good porters, but they got to be the right kind of porter for me. So maybe that's
My favorite one is their Imperial Stout.
yeah. See, the Imperial Stout's very good. They have.
That's an A+. That's like 100. That's almost like it is a world-class beer, I think. It's one of the few beers I ever said was better than an A+.
But if I had this and I had this versus say the Breckenridge Vanilla Porter, it wouldn't be that much where it would pull away from it, and I could be happy with either one of them.
Nice.
This is the way it kind of looks at for me here. So it doesn't stand out, but again, it's a great drinkable beer. You can sit here and enjoy these in a pub with no problem. It just doesn't knock me back as much.
So I gotta ask, in the middle of the woods in the cabin, wherever Crunch is, he's got no access to no beers, 0 of them.
No, I
Probably drinking Bud Light and won't say anything.
no, actually, my buddy doesn't drink. He doesn't drink at all. So there's no beer here in the house. So, like I said, I went out to get some, and then I couldn't find any. And I thought, okay, well, maybe if I cruise around a little bit more, I'll find some.
Yeah.
And there wasn't any other place to stop and get it. All the
All
little
right.
mom and dads. I mean, I could have got night crawlers up the ass. If we were doing night crawlers. Shoot.
Night crawlers. Yeah, that sounds like a fun time.
Not up the ass.
I'm sorry I put it that way.
But like I said, there weren't any from the UK or anything. They all had the Michigan beers from around here.
Yep.
Heck of a lot of the Space Rock, because I got some more of that
Oh,
Space
yeah.
Rock all over the place. A lot of Michigan brewery around here, and then your regular normal stuff, but
Yep.
nothing craziness that's not around here. Had I driven up to Traverse City, yeah, I could have found some up there. Had I driven down to Muskegon, yeah, but now you're talking a good 45 to an hour drive. And though I love you guys, 45-minute drive, we're sitting back here relaxing with my dog and going to the river. I went to the river instead.
I got you. I feel you.
Sound like you made the right choice.
Yep.
Well, I'm gonna open up one more beer, and then I will try to get less crazy than yesterday, Jay. I'm gonna share a beer with.
What happened yesterday?
Well.
You can't start a story and then cut it off like that.
Yesterday got a little out of hand with the beers. I'm not gonna let it do that today. I'm gonna share this beer with a buddy that's coming over in a little while. This is not anywhere near a British beer at all.
Well,
Nope.
if you're starting it before he gets there.
Because it's one of these bomber beer.
Oh yeah, that's right. Because last night you were at that bonfire. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And that is on video.
This particular beer is from the Grimm Artisanal Ales. I guess they are out of Brooklyn, New York. This is their.
Hold on, Eric. Hold on before you start. I gotta get off of this now. But I appreciate looking at the looking at the British beers. But if you excuse me, but I appreciate you inviting me for this last appearance. I know I said the W word too much, but
What's the W word?
Walmart.
Oh.
So anyway, the nuclear missiles are about to launch.
What the hell is happening? Are you putting the codes for Trump over there, Crunch, or what?
Yes, he is. Okay, Eric, before I get off, what kind of beer is it again?
It is the style they say on the bottle is dry hopped sour ale. And
Sounds gross.
I think it's considered a beer advocate, a farmhouse, and on Rate Beer it's a wild sour ale.
I'm not sure about that one. All right, well, y'all have a good night, and I really appreciate the invite.
All right.
All right, thanks for swinging by.
All right, have a great night.
Okay, have a good trip up there and on your vacation.
All right, thank you.
Well, you can do that one, Eric, and I'm going to go ahead and we can sign out. We'll shut it down with the UK, then we can just hang out and talk these other beers.
So anybody want to try a funky wild sour ale, go look for Grimm. There you go.
The Brothers Grimm.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right.
So, Crunch, you want to sign it out?
All right, yeah. Well, once again, another episode of Craft Beers Gone Wild. Half of us are hanging out on vacation, and the other half there, they're holding down the fort of the beer show. So thanks a lot for joining. As always, if you want to join this mad cast here, give Rod J a hookup. Look him up on Google. Just type in Rod J. 64 pages of Google will pop up for you. Click any of those, and he will get you the links in there. And you can always come in and join us. So I'm Crunch Crutchmar from Chicago, VI Custard, Michigan.
And Rod J here, Cincinnati, Northern Kentucky. And as you can see below my name here, hit up the website, rodjbeerventures.com. You'll see all the different sites that are linked in. coming soon to you this weekend will be the new podcast. We've got the newspaper rolling. We've got everything on Twitter. We got everything on YouTube, Google Plus, Instagram. We're blown out everywhere, even Periscope. So
Nice.
make sure you're involved.
And I am Eric Thomas Metal 75 from the Massachusetts Beer Review channel of YouTube in southern Massachusetts.
And I'm Ronald, and my channel's main content is Louisiana Beer Reviews.
All right. Well,
Something
as
to
always,
always
Rod, go ahead and finish us off here, buddy.
Thanks for coming out. Keep drinking good craft beers. Cheers.
Cheers.